My name is Taryn March. I have to remind myself of this as I drive through the thick fog for what seems like the 100th hour. The dense cloud settles across the road, blocking everything but the hood of the car from my view. It's like driving through a snowstorm after someone poured a bucket of gray paint over your windshield. Why did I agree to this transfer? Just a day ago, I was sitting at my desk, staring out the glass at the golden sunset over the gleaming towers of the city. Now here I am, lost in a cloud of condensed water and my own thoughts, driving towards a town on the edge of nowhere. I keep driving. Not because I really want to, but because I know if I stop, I may never find a way out of this fog. How long have I been driving? This is not what I pictured when I was told I would be working in a small picturesque town. I pictured a cute little diner, kids running around playing, and old brick buildings lining the downtown. Not an endless forest of fog straight from a horror movie. It feels like a lifetime has passed before my headlights finally cut through the fog, revealing the end of the forest and the beginning of a long stretch of field. A green sign with black writing beckons me forward with a simple greeting. Welcome to Springshard. I drive until the fields fade into the brick buildings of the town. I've finally arrived. I continue down each street until I reach my new home. It's a tall, thin, lavender house with a sloped black roof right on the corner of Avenue Street and Street Avenue. Each of the houses on Street Avenue are different. Some tall and thin townhouses, some big brick houses with attached garages, even some with big glass dome roofs. After pulling into the driveway, I make my way up the steps onto the little porch at the door. It's a sickly shade of greenish-brown from the peeling and stained olive paint that must have once covered it. I unlock the door and walk in. The house seems bigger on the inside. Not in a normal, I think I know how big this house is, but when you go in, it's actually roomier than you imagined way. But in a, these rooms should logically not be able to fit in the house based on the outside dimensions way. On more than one occasion, I find myself getting lost as I make my way around the house. The day is spent moving boxes and unpacking the necessities. There's an endless amount of rooms in this house, not all of them empty. One room is filled with all different kinds of mirrors, with an old rocking chair in the middle. Another is empty except for a stuffed kangaroo, but after I leave the room and come back in, there's a pair of black socks by the kangaroo that I must not have noticed before. Needless to say, exploring the whole house takes quite a bit of time. It's almost evening when I hear a knock on the door. When I open it, I'm greeted by a tall woman with long, ashy blonde braids. She's wearing flared purple and navy vertically striped pants that don't reach her ankles, an orange parka, and a tall chef's hat. Hello, I'm Tetra Burns, mayor of Springshard. She tells me this as she pulls open the coat a bit, revealing a blue ribbon pinned to the inside, printed with the words, World's Best Grandpa, but with the word Grandpa scratched out and rewritten as mayor in crude red handwriting. I just wanted to welcome you to our town, she says, vigorously shaking my hand. In fact, in true Springshard tradition, I have a small housewarming gift for you. She gestures to my gift, which is not small at all. On my porch sits a stone fireplace. It's bigger than my door. I look to Tetra for some sign that this is a joke, but her face remains in the same stoic glance. She looks somewhat like a small child trying to convince the teacher for 5 extra minutes of playtime through serious negotiations. Thank you, Tetra, is all I can get out. Before I have a chance to ask about this odd tradition, she's already shaken my hand again and swiftly walked across my driveway, braids bouncing on her back. I step out onto the porch and stare at the fireplace. I can't just leave it here, can I? It could be a fire hazard on the wood porch, or someone could steal it. Then again, it's too heavy to carry off, and much too big to fit through my front door. So I leave it on the porch. That evening, I decide that the best thing to do is explore the town. I make my way down Avenue Street, turn right on Left Lane, and walk past Town Hall in Circle Square. And I finally made it. Main Street. There's something comforting about Main Street. Every town and city in the world has a Main Street, and every one is lined with local businesses trying to sell their wares to each passerby. I've always loved Main Streets. I continue on my path and pass business after business. The names flash past my peripheral vision in bold type font. The Hairball Salon. We sell shoes for your feet. Magnum Locust Pet Store. And Dottie's. The final one is a small diner with a big window out front. It is clearly the busiest. I step inside, triggering a small metal bell to ring. A sign by the door reads, "Please wait to be seated." Or don't. That's fine too. We won't be upset. I take a seat at the black and white bar. A short woman with curly black hair tied up with a red scarf comes over to take my order. What'll it be, darlin'? I'm still scanning the menu board above her head. Stick and slime stew? No. Mashed applesauce and grilled toast? No. An arm wraps around my shoulders. She'll have a plate of your famous chocolate cake and a glass of ice-cold milk. The woman goes off to fetch the order, and I turn to see the owner of the arm. It's Mayor Tetra Burns. You can thank me later, she says. Dottie's chocolate cake is a legend across the lands. She punctuates with a wink. Looking around, I see that everyone else in the diner is working away at a plate of cake. The woman sets a plate with a tall slice of cake down in front of me, with a glass of frozen milk. I ask about the drink, but she simply shrugs, saying, You wanted it ice cold. So, when did you move in? The woman asks. How did you know I just moved here? She chuckles. Darling, everyone in town comes to my diner, and I've never seen you before. So, when did you move in? I explained that I had just got here this morning, and asked if the heavy fog was an everyday type of weather. Dottie shrugged me off, saying, Fog? Darling, today was the clearest day it's been in a while. We continue to talk about the town and all the stores I simply must go to before she turns towards the kitchen and gives a shout. Xavier Moss, get your nose out of my kitchen! A man with a graying beard, thin-rimmed glasses, and a mouse-ish face pokes his head out of the kitchen. Dottie, please, he begins, but Dottie is having none of it. She marches right over to him and, despite being close to half his height, gives him an earful about how he needs to act mature and stop being so nosy about her secrets. By the end of it, Xavier Moss is sulking out the door and walking away. Dottie shakes her head as she comes back to me. That man doesn't know when to quit, she says exasperatedly, but she's smiling slightly. He's been trying to get my recipe for years. He'll never find it, though. It's all up here. She taps her head. She goes off to take another order, and Tetra Burns goes back to sipping her orange juice and munching on a hard gray biscuit that looks like a rock. I'm pretty sure it's just a rock. I pick up a neatly folded newspaper from the counter. I was transferred from my hometown to Springshard to work on their paper, the Springshard Chronicle. I won't be starting at the office until tomorrow, but I might as well see the type of news I'll be reporting. I start with the traffic announcements. Attention all citizens of Springshard. Effective immediately, Sterling Road will no longer exist. In its place will be a gaping black hole in existence. You are not to discuss the existence or non-existence of what was once Sterling Road under any circumstances. Many have questioned how to get to Springshard Elementary due to the fact that the only entrance was on that road that may or may not have existed. However, Sheriff O'Brien Fairbrook has given a simple guide. When you get to the place where a road might or might not have once been, turn left and go through Magna Connor's Carrot Patch, cross the bridge at Drop-Off Gorge, and go through the swamp, being sure to avoid all alligators. Plan to add 8 hours to your morning commute, so make sure to leave early for your little one's school day. I put the paper back down. What is going on in this town? Is this what they consider normal? My thoughts are cut off by an extremely forced cough from beside me. I turn to Tetra. You know, reading the newspaper is illegal in Springshard. I give her a confused look. By all means, continue, she says. But Sheriff O'Brien Fairbrook is right there. She points to a man at the end of the bar. He's wearing a black coat with long coattails, a shiny blue V-neck shirt, a pair of tight white pants, and a tall cowboy hat with the word Sheriff written on it. He's sitting at the bar with a cup of coffee, nose and a copy of the newspaper. I give Tetra a look and she shrugs. I turn to the sports section. The Springshard Seals faced our rivals, the Springshard Seals, in a nail-biting match of shuffleboard last night with the Springshard Seals coming up on top. Sad news for all Springshard Seals fans out there. Maybe the Springshard Seals will see a victory next week. Until then, the Springshard Seals remain the reigning shuffleboard victors. I turn to the public announcements page. This week, Friday has been postponed until further notice. I see an ad for the pet store I passed on the way to Dottie's. Magnum Locust. We have house pets. Don't ask about the house pets, it's none of your business. Every page of the paper is the same. Weird and nothing like the paper I used to work for. I find an article by someone named Caliver Chrome. It has a headline, Horses, Suitable for Office Jobs? It goes into great detail about how horses should not be given jobs in hospitals and banks, but also talks to some horse and career equality activists. Oddly enough, this is the most normal piece in the paper. It's getting late, so I call Dottie over for the bill. She waves me off, telling me to consider it a welcome gift. I start my trek back to the house, stopping at Circle Square. The lights on Town Hall have lit up, and a ring of torches circle the fountain in the center of the square. The square is busy with couples walking around holding hands, and children running around with toy bears and stuffed cars. Despite all its oddities, this is a beautiful town. The square is lined with little shops selling everything from loose strings to glass sculptures of ice cubes. I go into each of them, even buying a black ribbon to tie back my hair, before making my way to a small shop on the side of the square called Springshard Traders. Inside the shop, I find a mug with a Springshard emblem printed on it in a metallic green, a winged seal flying over a steaming cauldron. I am told by the owner that they don't take money, but will take the black ribbon tying my hair back in exchange for the mug. It's an odd trade-off, but what isn't in this town? I make my way back home and fill my new mug with tea. Looking out the window, I see that stars have started to come out, forming constellations I've never seen before. An idea strikes me. I grab the old rocking chair I found in the room upstairs and pull it onto my porch. I light up the fireplace and sit back in the chair, nursing my cup of tea. Maybe this town isn't so bad. They do have beautiful skies. Yes, I think I could make this town my home. My name is Taryn March, and I am a citizen of Springshard. Hi, this is AJ Robinson, creator of Chronicles of Springshard and the voice of Taryn March. I just want to thank you for listening to the pilot episode. If you liked it and want to know when the next episodes are up, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Springshard Chronicle for weekly updates and teasers. Special thanks to Jess Milton, Olivia Hanson, Derek Taggart, and to you listening right now. Hope to see you at Dottie's soon.